Is it dangerous to release equity from your house? So I want to go through all the ins and outs, and I want to have a proper discussion with you about that. Because the consequence of not releasing equity or money from your own home could be this. You end up downsizing because your life has to shrink as your income shrinks, especially when you get towards the age of retirement and beyond. 70% of Brits live in homes that they're buying or have bought. 30% live in rented accommodation. Now, of that 70%, 37%, so more than half of the 70%, have paid off. They have no mortgage at all. But even the other 33% that do have a mortgage typically have tons of equity. They've lived in the house for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and if they bought the house in the year 2000, it's probably worth 3 times what they paid for it. So they maybe paid 200,000, it's maybe worth 600,000 pounds. Most homeowners can release equity. So the question then becomes, should they? I would say the first element of danger comes from not knowing how to do it. Make sure you get some hand-holding, make sure you get some expert advice. Let's take an example of Mr. and Mrs. Average. Mr. and Mrs. Average live in the average house, which is currently worth around about £300,000. And on average, they've got no mortgage. So if they put, say, a £200,000 mortgage on that property, is that dangerous? Yeah, it can be if they just take that £200,000 and they go straight down to the bookmaker and put it all on the 410 at Kempton and the horse loses. If you don't know what to do with the money to generate a return, that can be very dangerous. But let's say you have a plan, and let's say you want to invest in property, which is, after all, the safest form of investment, safe as houses and all that. Let's say you bought 4 £200,000 homes or flats or apartments or whatever it is, and let's say they make £500 a month each. Well, that's an extra £2,000 a month. To set against that, you're gonna have to pay off the extra mortgage on your own home. So you need to make sure you understand the numbers. But what I'd like to do is give you an example from some friends of mine. They are already retired, they own their home outright, and they own 2 buy-to-lets. The property they live in, their home, is worth about 1.2 million. Their 2 buy-to-lets are worth about 400,000 each. They've got 2 million of unencumbered properties. Unencumbered just means it doesn't have a mortgage on it. And the rent that they get from these 2 properties is around about £2,500 a month. Now, they can't afford to live on that because they've got a big house, they've got 2 cars, and they really can't live on £2,500. So one of them said to me, well, what should we do? Just focusing on the buy-to-lets. 75% is the normal buy-to-let mortgage. 3/4 of 800 is 600. They could have £600,000 of cash, of money. What would you do with that? Well, here at Redmayne Smith, we help people just like that to invest that money safely in a really good property, in a really good area with a really good return. So if you took that £600,000 and used it as deposits, let's knock off a couple of £100,000 for stamp duty and fees and whatever. So let's say you take your 600,000 and you go and buy 2.2 million pounds worth of property. Let's say 8 properties. So those 8 properties would all bring in probably £500 a month each, which is £4,000 extra per month. And let's say you lose £1,000 of that because you've got to pay the interest on the money that you've released from those original buy-to-lets. You've increased your income from 2.5 to about 5,500. What happens to property prices every 7 to 10 years? They double. So in 7 years' time, £3 million worth of investment property is suddenly worth 6. At that point, I would say that that is real, true wealth for the average person. Is it more dangerous to do that and rely on people paying your rent, massive shortage of properties to rent? Could property prices fall over the next 3 to 6 months? Maybe. Over the next 7 years? No chance. It's never happened. The really sad part is that my friends told me releasing equity, releasing money was too dangerous. So what's the inevitable consequence? They can't live on £2,000 a month. They're going to probably sell one of the buy-to-lets, sell the other buy-to-lets, live off the money that they get from that, and then they'll probably end up downsizing. So when people say to me, Paul, is it dangerous to release money from the home that I live in to invest? Not as long as you know what you're doing, you've got a good property, and you've got the right support. Those are the 3 critical things that you need. So here at Redmayne Smith, those are the 3 things that we offer you. Now, if you'd like to discover the exact property that's right for you, click on the link below this video and come and join us at a live webinar. And we do 2 a month, and we showcase particular investments that can make you wealthy over time. So with just £40,000, you could have invested that and you could have purchased a property at a place called Waterside in Taunton. Now, this is a very high yielding property because it's run as serviced accommodation. So, Airbnb, Booking.com, it's all done for you, so you don't have to do any of that. If you invested in that kind of property, you get a load of tax breaks, but in addition, the net yield to you is over £19,000 a year. So, after everything. But if I give you another example with another £40,000 investment, and this time let's move up to Liverpool, to what's called the penthouses in Liverpool, the return on that one will be more than £18,000 a year. If you're fascinated and you want to learn how you could simply do this, click on the link below. I look forward to working with you online. My name is Paul Smith of Redmayne Smith, and twice a month we offer the opportunity for people just like you to invest in properties that I really think you're going to love. See you then.